This is who we are. We are the Haudenosaunee. The Haudenosaunee consists of 5 nations. The 5 nations are from the east, the Mohawk Nation. Coming in a little bit further is the Oneida Nation, Onondaga Nation, Cayuga Nation, and the Seneca Nation to the west, keepers of the western door. And so this is our unity belt. This is the belt of the Haudenosaunee. It represents each fire, it represents each nation, it represents the forest. The forest is our home, is our house, our longhouse. And in our longhouse, Mother Earth is our floor. The woods are our walls. The sky is our ceiling. At one point in our time, we weren't getting along with each other. And we received a message from the peacemaker. The peacemaker came paddling across the water, the lakes here, came paddling across and brought this message to us. He said that we're making sad our Creator because of what we do to each other in a not so pleasant way. We had wars with each other, and what he did was unite us as one, the Haudenosaunee. He explained to us of how our responsibilities are. They were given to us from a long time ago at our origin from the Sky Woman, who brought down instructions to Turtle Island to grow. And the people that will be walking here about on Turtle Island are to be sharing their gratitude and their breath and their water with you. And that's what we were instructed to do. And as we did grow and we expanded, then we start forgetting our original teachings. So the peacemaker brought this message to remember this, to remind us of the Kanohanyo, the Thanksgiving address, to be grateful for all on Mother Earth that's provided for us so that we can walk in peace and contentment. And so the message that was received also taught us governance. It reminded us of our old teachings that we start forgetting and just leaving behind. And the peacemaker brought this message to pick up your bundle and re-examine what's in that bundle. See, each and every one of us carries a bundle in our lives. We understand what's in our bundle. Somebody else might know a little bit of what's in your bundle, what's in my bundle, but we know what's in our own bundle. And whether we're giving gratitude and expressing our way in song and dance and speech and sharing and caring, we know that ourselves. So we're reminded by a peacemaker. Peacemaker brought this message to our people over 1,000 years ago. Over 1,000 years ago. And united us with the strands woven together with the sinew of the deer. And in the Thanksgiving address, we acknowledge the deer, as we acknowledge the deer as the leader of the four-leggeds that run through the forest. As each and every one mentioned in our Thanksgiving address has a leader, including the people. The berries have a leader, the strawberries. All that is woven into this. The unity, the strength, the one bowl concept of what's provided for us here on Mother Earth. What's in that bowl is in there for all of us, so that we know wherever we go in the forest by our instructions that there's going to be some left for the next generation. It's our responsibility to make sure. And so by making sure we share gratitude with the berries, we share gratitude with all the food sources. Junhekwi takes care of us. The vegetables, the corn, the beans, and the squash. And so in the time frame that we have in this panel, it's hard to explain over 1,000 years of knowledge in a matter of minutes. And so we do the best that we can to cut short and bring the points across that's going to help each and every one of us individually contribute to Mother Earth's well-being for future generations to come. As we ponder it, as we ponder this pandemic that affects us in so many ways, in so many understandings, in so many languages. It affects all of us. Mother Earth has the ability to heal. She's given the right time and chance to do so. We work with her and we all heal. So individually, we got to know that. We got to know our responsibility to Mother Earth. And so this was shared also. This is an old teaching. It's a very old teaching. As we gather any kind of medicines, any kind of foods, the animals, as we hunt to feed our families, we acknowledge to the first one that we meet in the woods, in the forest. We acknowledge to them what our purposes of gathering is and who it's for. And we explain that. We communicate with the plants, with the animals, with the birds, with the water. And we don't take the first one that we see. That way we teach our younger generations always that there'll be at least one left for them. And so when they carry that on, they always talk to the first one with gratitude and acknowledgement of their contributions to help us be at peace and contentment also. And to share that message with your relatives. And so we share that with our relatives, and it gets carried on. So we always know there's going to be some left for the next person, for the next one that needs the assistance of what we're after at that time, whether it's medicine or food, berries, whatever it may be. We share that. And so in our teachings, in our oral teachings that are still going on today, we still carry them on. We still orally talk of what our ancestors had left here for us. And in those teachings, we have the knowledge of the great law of peace. What we refer to as the great law of peace is the great pine tree that was planted, and all our weapons of war were buried so that the waters can wash bloodstains from it. And the next generation won't never see it because it's underground buried, being cleansed, being healed, the weapons of war. And the weapons of war, we got to remember, they're not just knives and arrows and hatchets, tomahawk, you hear that word? Those aren't the only weapons. Some of the weapons that are buried in there also is jealousy, greed. All these things that you as humans know can cause a war are put to be cleansed under the great tree of peace and never to be seen again by our children. And it's our responsibility that that tree holds firm. And so we lock arms. We lock arms as leaders of our nation, of our Confederacy, Iroquois Confederacy, 5 nations, Haudenosaunee. That's who we are. We lock arms to protect that tree in a circle. And the teachings are to be carried on orally for each generation coming. Preserved that way so that they know where we come from, what we've been through, how we live, so that they can prepare for what's to come. You have to understand all of that, where you come from. You have to understand how you got here, what helped you survive, what contributions did you do to protect future generations to have the ability to grow to the age that you are now as an individual. Your contributions to Mother Earth, to society, to life, to help future generations is very important. Your actions today are very important to make sure that there's peace and contentment available and in abundance for the future generations to come. Those are in the teachings. Those are what we share. And then when the people came from their big ships and landed on the shores in the east, they brought with them some diseases. They were sickly, some stuff that we never heard of, never seen. They had no medicines to tend to it. They brought with them that doctrine of discovery, the Christian doctrine of discovery. And what had happened now is they settled here for a bit, and then the ship went back to wherever it came from to explain to their people what they have found here. And then they returned. And as they returned, they found these villages that they visited at some time on their last journey were all sun-bleached skulls. They were dead. And they were dead from the disease, whether it be smallpox or whatever they brought with them. There's a number of diseases that brought with them that our people here couldn't heal from. They knew they had diseases. They understood that. They were immune to it. They've had it for a long time. That's why they were leaving their home, to find peace somewhere else. And they found it. When they had a doctrine that explained to them that they could have that land that they find if there was already no Christians there. And so they used this disease as a tool to share with the indigenous peoples of the land to convince them to become Christian. They convinced them by telling them that you see these people who are not alive anymore. You see their bones. We're doing this as the work of our God. Without even raising a sword, we can wipe out a whole village. And since our people had never seen anything like that kind of sickness that did kill people, whole families, whole villages, they believed them. And they became Christian. An early contact. Further into the woods, away from the shorelines of where the big boat landed, further into the woods, the people were being very skeptical, the indigenous people of the forest, because they saw people that were accepting to be Christian also dying of the same sickness without anybody raising a sword to take their lives. But they were still dying. And also further into the forest, we've noticed in our oral teachings, our people had noticed that these newcomers to the land were not only carrying a disease, they were stealing. They were grave robbing. And they found that the trade with the people of the forest, that we liked our necklaces and our attire, our dress and our beadwork and our fancy work, bone work and so forth. They start digging graves and finding this stuff and trading it. There's one particular story that I was told when I was young was they traded to a person over near Albany, New York, the indigenous people nation there, and they recognized that jewelry as something that they had already gifted. They made it and gifted to someone, and that person had passed away. And so they knew right away, these people aren't right because that was buried with a man. And they followed that back, and they spread word quick that what these people are doing. And so this pandemic that goes on started way back in the 1490s, 1500s, of disease and untruths. And so to help future generations, the true history has to be taught. The true history, that it wasn't just a Thanksgiving dinner in the middle of November or October, whatever month Thanksgiving comes in. Not even certain myself. Ours is every day. It's not a turkey on a wall that you teach in the classroom. It's real life history that needs to be taught and shared with generations to understand where they come from, so that they can see and feel where they're at today and better prepare for where they're going tomorrow, where we're all going to be going.